What's up, guys? How's it going? Ryan back at you again with Deep Thoughts podcast episode 11. Hopefully going to be kind of a shorter episode this time around. We're going to be talking about TwitchCon recap and also about BlizzCon. So a lot of meat and potatoes on this podcast episode, but I don't think it should go too long. But yeah. Pixel is back, guys, as you can tell.
I'm alive.
He's alive. If you guys haven't heard already, you can go to Deep Thoughts episode 10.5, where I solo queued for the first time on this podcast, and we gave our initial impressions on, when I mean we, I say I, gave my initial impressions on the Twitch keynote, which is something that we'll go into, I guess, greater detail pretty quickly here. But Pixel, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Yeah, man. How before we really get into it, but give us a little teaser. But like, how was your trip? How was the travels to TwitchCon and stuff?
Oh, it was fantastic. Like I always said that TwitchCon is really about the community, and that's what I was there for, just to meet the same friends that I've made online, and it's been fantastic. It's like we just kind of caught up. Like we didn't really how do I say this? It's like it's so weird. It's like it's like we never left.
Right. Yeah.
So we were just like hanging out, and it was all the same as it was online. It was great.
Nice.
So it didn't feel weird at all.
Nice. Very cool. We'll get more into that in a second, but let's just get some of the announcements out of the way. Very quickly. Like I said, there's gonna be no real news, like generic news articles. We usually like to start the podcast off with maybe some little announcements that Twitch has about oh, this new Prime game is out, or this little feature has come out, or something like that. None of that today, guys. We're gonna hop right into it with just the meat and potatoes of this podcast episode, which is gonna be basically just us going over the TwitchCon keynote, our thoughts on all the new features that have come out, and then we're gonna jump into as well. Pixel and I are going to BlizzCon as well this week, so we'll be seeing each other at BlizzCon, and then ending it with some thoughts on the closing ceremony and stuff like that of BlizzCon. Really the only kind of news article we had today. Random thought that I've had, though, in the back of my head. I don't know if any one of our listeners is going to BlizzCon, but if you guys find either one of us or both of us at the same, if you find me at least, I'll buy you a beer. I just want to meet one of our listeners. I don't think it's gonna happen, guys, but if one of our listeners here is listening to this right now and you guys find us at BlizzCon, then I'll buy you a beer, because that would be really funny and really cool to see.
That'd be amazing.
So that would be really cool. So if any of you guys do find us, remind me that I said that on the podcast episode. Lastly, just as always, guys, remember to subscribe/follow our podcast on iTunes or Spotify so that you guys can get the most out of the podcast, and so you don't have to remember downloading an episode every week. So just remember to follow or subscribe so that can auto-download or auto-notify you when a new episode is out. And then also another friendly reminder, if you guys wouldn't mind, you could like/review the podcast on either Spotify or iTunes. It helps out our SEO so that when people do look and are browsing for a new podcast to listen to about Twitch, that our podcast will come up higher up in the search rankings as well, and it kind of vets us as kind of a more official podcast. That being said, though, let's get straight into, I guess, the news. Like I said, kind of a shorter podcast day, hopefully. But first up is Pixel went to TwitchCon, like we just mentioned, and I was not there. I was at home and just kind of chilling. But Pixel, what were you up to? If you, I guess, big picture, small picture, any details you want to announce, if you want to take a day by day, travel experiences, all that type of stuff, any complaints?
Oh wow,
the floor is yours. But anything you want, basically. Let's get your recap out there.
You know what? Traveling there was pretty uneventful. That was all right.
Mm-hmm.
The convention itself, I gotta say, Friday was a madhouse. It was insane. I went there at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and I just saw a sea of people.
Yeah.
Waiting outside. I think they were both trying to get badges and also trying to get inside.
Right.
I couldn't believe it. I actually didn't spend that much time at the convention. I only went on Saturday.
Okay.
And Friday, like I heard all these sorts of horror stories about people waiting outside for 5 or 6 hours just trying to get in. Like people were just giving up after a little while.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, that was one of the big things. That was one of the big negatives and complaints about TwitchCon this year. But it was pretty bad, and I think both Pix and I predicted this on an earlier episode.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was pretty much the most crowded TwitchCon ever. It was the most packed TwitchCon ever. They hit capacity by day one, and after day one, and they announced on their social media that you would not be able to purchase a ticket out the door, whether you are a partner, affiliate, viewer, media, anything. Basically, if you didn't pre-order your ticket or get it that Friday morning in
Yeah.
those lines, they weren't allowing people in. Yeah, unfortunately, it was very chaotic from what Pixel said. I saw tweets and aerial shots of the lines. Apparently, it was very disorganized. If basically you weren't a partner, from what people were saying, I don't know how true that is, but apparently the partner line was pretty fast, pretty efficient. There was staff out there kind of
Yes.
navigating it, and
Yes.
affiliates and regular viewers, their line was like they kind of had to make their own line. I saw some tweets mention that the lines went up to like 1.5 miles outside of the venue.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I heard that was pretty bad, and that was a
I
combined total from getting your badge as well as entering the convention. So I had
Yeah.
I had groups of friends that waited about 2 hours just to get their badges, like pick up their badges, and then another 2 to 3 hours just to get in on the first day, which is pretty bad.
Insane.
Yeah.
You know what? I can attest to it. The partner line was actually very, very short. I actually was looking, and you could probably get your badge within a few minutes, like within 3 minutes. And it was just such a stark difference between the um, affiliate and community badge line and also the partner line, because the community and affiliate line were the same thing.
Okay. Really? Oh, I
So
did not know that. Okay.
yeah. So those are the same thing. So you're all lumped in together, and you were all waiting to get your badges. It was such a mess. I think it was the main problem was not actually the badges. I think the main problem was actually getting inside.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of people were trying to just wait and get into the expo hall because the expo hall opened at 10 o'clock.
Right.
And so people were just hanging out outside. But the thing was, there was only one main entrance
Right.
with about a few metal detector stations. And that created like this choke point where only like a few people were let in at a time. We're talking about maybe like one set of people like every few seconds.
Right.
And for a con this size, those are not numbers you want.
Yeah, definitely not. So, I mean, that's really unfortunate. It was kind of ironic too because I saw that the what is it? The tagline they used outside of the convention center was "Everyone
yeah.
get in here," which I thought was kind
Everyone
of funny.
get in here. It was so funny.
I also heard that I had friends that were staying at a Marriott hotel nearby, and apparently they had been on strike for 2 weeks.
Yes,
so I heard that was an issue too as well there.
They were chanting outside. I remember passing that.
Yeah, so I heard that was a thing. I also heard that a lot of the meet and greets for various streamers and streaming organizations were cut off, like line capped and stuff, which I think is something we could maybe talk about later on in a future episode, but I think was very foolish of Twitch to do. From what I understand, a lot of organizations had their meet and greets at the same time. So, for example, instead of like, I'm just going to throw out a name, let's say FaZe Clan, for example, instead of, let's say, this FaZe Pro player at this hour, and then maybe 3 hours later, this pro player was there, they just had the whole FaZe team at the same time from like 1 to 3 at the meet and greet area.
That's bad.
Lines were basically like capped 40 minutes before you could eat. Like 40 minutes before their meet and greets started, and then people then had to choose which one they wanted to go meet. So say they went to go see FaZe streamer number 1, they would take a picture, and then basically the way that the meet and greet line worked was you were funneled out another exit in the back, and you exited out there, but there was no way for you to then re-enter, obviously. because you were forced out of an exit only, and you couldn't go back in line and wait for someone else. So a lot of people were upset about that because maybe there was 3 to 4 streamers they wanted to meet, and they were basically forced to pick and choose like their favorite streamer to wait
Jeez,
in line for.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up. I think the meet and greet lines could have been done far better than they were. Like you said, the line capping, like I can understand that because each meet and greet time is only about an hour long, and you can only handle so many people. So I can understand that. But the way, I don't know, I feel like there's probably a better process for doing this.
Yeah. It's just another it's just another attest to how big like TwitchCon has become and Twitch in general has become. Most of my friends did not meet their streamers at the official meet and greets, unfortunately. They just randomly ran into them. There was just no way to meet them. But yeah.
One of the things I was wondering was whether this venue is about the same size as Long Beach, because I actually felt like this was smaller than Long Beach.
Oh, really? I've heard mixed things. I've heard that it was bigger, and I heard that it was smaller. I'm not really too sure about it, about that, to be honest. It would be interesting we got some statistics about it.
Yeah, because it kind of makes sense if it was more difficult to get in and they were selling out this year. If they had a smaller venue, that would probably explain it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Some people were saying that it was bigger. Some people were saying that it was smaller but more spread out to make it feel like it was bigger. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Anyway, we kind of got a little off topic, but I mean, so line problems aside and stuff, we can talk about that on another episode. How else was TwitchCon for you?
Everything else was great. Like the meetups that I did with the community I'm part of. We went the entire weekend. Like what the amazing part about this community is that we don't have just a meet and greet. We have basically a week-long meet and greet, a weekend long, sorry. So it was fantastic. Like I don't know anybody else who does something like this, and like it's definitely like the highlight of my year.
Yeah,
it's one of them. It was so great just to like see everybody, because we're all from all over the states and the rest of the world, and it's just great to see everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're definitely in like a unique situation when it comes to the communities that you're involved in or whatever. So I'm glad that you could like make the best of it. Any specific memories that you can detail out, or any big picture events that happened that you were like, oh, that's pretty fun that we did that or whatever, or was it just all kind of like pretty solid?
It was just all pretty solid, just like it was great just, having meals with everybody and chatting and just like, I don't know, it's so different when you're talking on Discord or in chat. Like you only get part of a person's personality, and I think a big part of like knowing who a person is like their general body language and stuff like that. And it's so different when you meet them in real life.
Yeah, it's definitely like playing 4D chess. Or playing 3D chess, I should say, if you've only been talking on voice. Yeah.
And it was just so amazing to just like, meet everybody and see the same people that I met last year too and made friends with. So no, it was a fantastic experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming you're going back for 2019 if Twitch still exists.
Oh, if Twitch still exists,
I don't know, man. It's a year.
It's a dying site. It's
a year. We don't know what's gonna happen in a year, dog.
No, I think it was. I think I'm definitely gonna go. You know what? I don't care where it is. If it's on the East Coast, which there are rumors of, I will travel for that.
The big rumors are that it's actually gonna be in Europe next year.
What?
Yeah, that's the big rumors that people were talking about on Twitter and stuff like that. So that was like that was the big rumor.
Know.
The other big rumor was that like they're using this to justify splitting up TwitchCon in the sense that kind of like how PAX does, where PAX has a PAX South, PAX North, PAX East, and then a PAX Prime or whatever. Some people are saying that TwitchCon is probably going to get to that. Probably in the next year or two, where you have like a Twitch East Coast, West Coast, like TwitchCon will be obviously the main one in California, but then they'll also have maybe a Twitch East or a Twitch EU going on at the same time. That was the rumor. So there would be like multiple Twitch cons going on at the same time. Instead of it being like, because PAX is like one of those things where it's like every couple of months there's one, and they're saying, well, Twitch isn't big enough yet to do that, right? Like maybe it's getting there, probably not, but I mean, there's a lot to do at a PAX. So the rumor was also that they would have multiple Twitch cons where it was like Europe, East Coast, West Coast, like all going on like the same weekend or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. That was just the rumor. I also heard that it's probably going to be in like Europe next year, if anything. To satisfy EU viewers.
I mean, if they do, they really should space it apart. They really shouldn't have it during the same weekend, for instance, because what if people, actually are fans of streamers from other parts of the world? They can't do both.
Yeah.
So they really have to offset that in some way.
Yeah. So I don't know. Those are just the rumors.
Yeah.
Anyways, though, any closing thoughts or anything else you have to say left about TwitchCon?
No, it's one of my favorite events of the year, and I can't believe it's over so quick.
Yeah, that's definitely how I'm gonna feel this weekend as well.
Yeah, and you know what? I listened to my own advice. I actually did a bunch of things during those days to make it feel longer, and it did work for 2 of those days.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I mean, if you guys missed out on a Deep Thoughts episode 10, I mean, you guys missed out. I mean, that was one of the things that we specifically talked about in there was how to make your most about TwitchCon and the conventions there in the convention space. So that's definitely something that, you should have taken our advice, you plebs. Made your most out of TwitchCon. But anyway, moving on. Next up, we do have probably what I think is the meat and potatoes of this podcast for anyone who doesn't know, but the TwitchCon 2018 keynote did happen, and all of our predictions were wrong. All of our predictions were so wrong. There was no big, bold, crazy announcement that ended up happening from the TwitchCon keynote. I will say that it was very, how do you say, like, I guess good life changes, life updates, I guess, but nothing like crazy major. A lot of the stuff that Pixel and I were predicting were like maybe there'd be a third tier for something in between affiliate and partner. Didn't happen. Maybe they're going to show that affiliates have ads or something. Didn't happen. This one was actually probably one of the lightest Twitch keynotes that I've ever seen out of the ones that I've tuned into. There was no talk about Prime or no update feature like Prime or like the affiliate program or anything like that. And it was something that I was kind of expecting, but I don't know. We can go through all the stuff step by step, and if you guys kind of want my thoughts on it, my thoughts haven't really changed too much, but you can go check out the previous episode that we did or whatever. But mostly I wanted to get Pixel's thoughts on all this type of stuff as well. So let's just kind of go through, recap the keynote.
Let's get into it.
So basically, started off, and it was a lot of pandering. They didn't do any they did a lot of you guys have sent 30 billion messages in chat, and we wouldn't be here without you, and all that type of stuff. They finally ended up announcing. They finally kind of ended up saying this tagline that was like, "Streamers aren't a side quest." It was kind of weird the way they said it, but basically that we're here for streamers. You guys are the main focus, and they said they wanted to focus on 3 main topics of discussion. Grow, connect, and thrive were the 3 main things. And it was kind of awkward because the CEO came out and he was like, let's start with growth. And then he never mentioned the other 2 headlines. So I thought all these topics were just for growth. And I was like, oh, snaps. There's going to be a lot of stuff announced. And then all of a sudden he was like, all right, see you guys next TwitchCon. And that was it. So it's kind of a little awkward there. I don't know who wrote his speech, but I really thought there was going to be way more stuff. So first up, I think, which is kind of the biggest feature that they announced, they have announced something called Squad Stream. The description of it is up to 4 creators will be able to stream together in a single view that viewers discover when they visit any one of their channels. Viewers can watch on desktop and mobile, as well as easily follow and subscribe to all channels. Chat is linked to whichever channel a viewer selects as their main view, so they can hang out with their friends or jump over to another community with just a click or a tap. Select streams will be testing out Squad Stream later this year. So it's pretty much getting rid of the feature of, I guess, multi-stream, or what other type of streams are there? streaming service where you guys can basically input like 2 to 3 links at
Oh,
the same time.
like multi-Twitch?
Yeah, like multi-Twitch or something like that. And kind of funny because I thought that this was going to be announced, but I didn't really think of it that would be a TwitchCon announcement because the people that they beta test it with was actually some people that I moderate for. And so it was all over like Twitch, and people are asking about it like a while ago, like maybe 3 months ago or something like that. And I didn't realize that was going to be an actual TwitchCon feature that was going to be announced. But apparently they said that it will be coming out in the next 3 to 4 weeks to select streamers. And when they mentioned select streamers, they said partners and affiliates who do a lot of co-hosting and co-streaming. So I don't know, maybe we'll get it. That'll be cool. But Pixel, what do you think about this feature?
I think it's kind of interesting. It's definitely going to create like an interesting dynamic, just like swapping between like different channels, kind of like channel surfing. This kind of moves it away from like a community aspect, and I think it's going to concentrate more on just like the content and seeing that, as opposed to creating a community that you can talk to and chat with. I think it's going to make it difficult for that. I don't know how that like. I think the idea of this probably goes against the idea of growing a stream,
right?
But I think it's a cool idea, especially if you have a lot of streamer connections that you want to play with. So it can be very, very interesting just to see different aspects of gameplay. So I think from a content aspect, like this is a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is like, yeah, like it doesn't have much with growth, but I think it just makes it easier and helps out like their viewers, because there's a lot of times where a Hearthstone streamer will be coaching someone who's never played Hearthstone, and you kind of want to see both perspectives or something. Or you know, people play League together and it's like a bunch of content creators in the same game. So I mean, that will be pretty cool. Apparently this will be activated on our dashboards once it's available. And basically what happens is, for example, if Pixel here was streaming and I was streaming at the same time, so obviously it won't work if one of the people isn't streaming, I will say put Pixel's username in for Twitch. I will send it over. He will then have to approve, and it will also notify him that he would also be on my stream as well. And then the co-streaming would begin, and we would get some type of URL special link that will be auto-pasted apparently, and be pinned, I guess, to where the pin cheers are, like around that area, that will say that I'm co-streaming with so-and-so. So, pretty cool little feature. Twitch and all that have not responded yet to how they feel about it and stuff, but yeah, pretty cool little feature. Next up, very, very short little thing. Apparently the highlight editor is now going to update. The highlight editor will now allow streamers and editors to stitch together moments from across a video into a single highlight. Look for this update in January. Pretty simple. If you guys know the marker feature that we've been using for this podcast, if I were to do 4 or 5 markups, I can now combine all those markups and highlight them all together. I think the point and goal of this as well is that when you clip something in a stream, like you yourself, you can stitch together all those clips into almost like a montage of, let's say, the best plays of that night or that stream, and be able to upload those videos faster. So pretty simple. Nothing much to update on there. Pixel, I guess, thoughts? Same thing, I'm assuming?
Pretty much the same thing. There's really not much to add other than, you know, this is a pretty cool feature, you know?
Yeah.
I've always wanted more ways to create like clips and stuff from a stream. And I always felt that, you know, clips don't really have the length of time that I'd always like. So hopefully like something like this will roll out so that we can have longer clips.
Yeah.
And then, you know, maybe we can have something like, you know, highlights available to just a regular viewer, just to making maybe 2-minute clips or something like that.
Right. So yeah, pretty cool, but pretty simple feature. Next up, they said that new featured sections on the homepage are coming out in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and that is starting later this year. Keep in mind that is twitch.tv. That's the homepage or whatever. So if you go to that homepage,
Who
It says,
actually goes there?
I know. It says we're rolling out a range of new featured sections, like ones highlighting up-and-comers, new partners and affiliates, or streamers local to the viewer. This is something that I'm not really surprised with. We kind of talked and touched about this in previous episodes when it came to the YouTube algorithm and how Twitch has been trying to basically create an algorithmic type of thing like
Mhm.
YouTube. There's a reason, guys, when you are on YouTube and you search up the new iPhone, and then all of a sudden you have all these recommended videos recommending top
Mm.
6 best cases for your iPhone, how water resistant is a new iPhone, best camera for the new iPhone, stuff like that. There's a reason for that, and this is one of those things that they're going to be pushing out. But
Yeah.
it's basically going to be curated to the person, to that person that's viewing it, right? So it's not going to be the
Sure.
same, not going to look the same to everyone. So what Pixel sees is different from what I'm going to see, and they're going to judge that based off of the tags system,
Mhm.
basically, as well as the location of where you're living to as well, and what your interests are, and that is going to rotate and change out. I think it's pretty
Yeah.
cool, but I mean, I don't think that my viewership is going to change. I don't think smaller
Mhm.
streamers' viewership is going to change. But I think I'm under family friendly. I'm under these type of tags. If people really like that, hey, maybe you'll suggest me. Um,
Mhm.
it is kind
Yeah.
of nice though, because it is throwing a bone to people who I guess are concerned about view count and who are upset with Twitch not really quote unquote helping smaller streamers, which they don't need to at all. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think it kind of quells that a little bit as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think you're right. Like this I'm not really sure how much this is going to help up and coming streamers, but it's a thing that's nice to have. It's a nice tool to see whether it works. I mean, we're never going to really find out unless we try.
Mhm.
So it's good that they're including a tool like this.
Mhm.
I don't think I'm going to be able to use it because I think I'm in the same boat as a lot of people in that we've already found channels that we watch
Yeah.
and we can't really go out and search for more. There,
Right.
like I think I've said this previously in one of the podcasts, but I think that there's a very, very small section of Twitch viewers that will actively go out and search for a new channel to watch. And if they are searching for it, they're usually searching for things that are very like topical. Like they're looking for a specific game. They're looking
Right.
for a specific like strategy in a certain game or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure how much this is going to help, but it's something that's nice to have.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. That's the only time I really do browse new games or something is like when I hear about a new game coming out. At the same time, it's still like a big deal for when partners do get on the front page and then all of a sudden their viewership jumps like a lot. So apparently there are
Mhm.
people using the front page for whatever reason.
That is true.
You know what I
Yeah, some
mean?
people just like keep it as their homepage on
Yeah.
when they start up their browser.
Yeah, I don't know why. And I think it's smart for them to put the new discovery tools in the homepage
Mhm.
and in the browse area too. So, these streams will show up on the side browsing area. We'll see what happens, but pretty little neat feature. Moving on, they then went to Connect, which the CEO of Twitch never actually mentioned by name, but apparently they moved on to Connect. See, I thought all this stuff was in growth, and I thought some lit things were going to
Right,
come.
right.
Nothing happened. So VIP badges are coming out. Ooh, fancy.
Mm.
VIP badges. Streamers will now be able to recognize valuable members of their community without requiring them to subscribe or moderate with VIP badges. VIP members are recognized with a badge and can also chat in slow, sub-only, or follower-only mode. Creators earn 10 badges when they complete the Build a Community Challenge by reaching 50 followers and 5 unique chatters in a stream, and can earn up to 100 badges as their community grows. And there's with this article in the show notes, you can also check out what the VIP badge looks like.
Mhm.
Yeah, so pretty much just the rundown about this is they kind of yoinked this or copied this from what Nightbot or Moobot or Stream Elements already does, which is a feature that I don't think a lot of people used, but it was called /regulars. Basically, I
Mhm.
could make Pixel a regular in my stream, and because of that, he would be able to get around, let's say, the filters for, let's say,
Mhm.
spam, emotes, caps, etc., because it recognizes him as a regular. So basically, what this essentially does, TLDR, is it gives the person who is a VIP all the same privileges of a moderator, but they can't actually mod the chat. Thoughts, Pixel?
Interesting. I think this is. I'm trying to think of whether this can be a good thing or a bad thing, and it's very possible that it could be a bad thing because of um, communities like playing favorites and things like that.
Right.
Because I know that some certain communities are very much a place where they want everybody to be equal,
Right.
and showing this extra badge, showing that this person has reached this level of VIP,
Mm-hmm.
might create a sort of tension within the community.
Right.
Like for moderators, like it makes sense because they need to do things in order to keep the chat clean.
Mm-hmm.
It's an actual kind of job.
Right.
But for a VIP, I don't know. Like it can be cool. It's great. Like it's great for a person who wants to feel like they're um, a part of a community and a very important part of a community.
Right.
Like that's a great like little bit of feedback that a streamer can give to a person. And it makes them feel very, very special. Like that's really cool. Like from my own perspective, like I think that I would love to have that.
Mm-hmm.
But just thinking about like certain communities that it might create that kind of tension because I have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen like people making fun of others because of how much importance they're given from the streamer.
Yeah.
So it can be a good thing and a bad thing. Like I think it's something that is good to have because I know also that streamers do VIP modding.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is already a thing. If someone's a VIP, like oh hey, there is a fellow streamer, like a very large fellow streamer, and you
Right.
want to mod them. You mod them because you want to make their stuff a little bit more visible, and you
Right.
also want to give them like this sort of like recognition that I think you're an important person.
Right.
So for them, VIPs actually do make sense.
Yeah. I mean,
And
yeah.
this replaces what mod used to be.
Yeah, I think it's good in that type of sense too, especially I think now with Discord integrations, so heavily on Twitch or whatever, it's been kind of like I wouldn't say risky, and I haven't experienced it, but I've heard stories about it where somebody from a community moderates someone who's a longtime viewer or was just like, "Yo, dude, this guy's hilarious. I'm gonna mod him," and mods him, and
Hmm.
because of the Discord synchronization, is automatically in the mod chats
Yeah,
within that
yeah.
Discord and can now see everything, and it might have not been something that they wanted or intended to do. Um, you know, I think the whole VIP badges and the plebs or just subscribers in general feeling like they have more power over the community, I think that's going to always be there. I've been in communities where tier 2s or tier 3s feel more superior than tier 1 plebs, right? Because they're paying $24.99 a month instead of $4.99 a month, you know what I mean? And feel that they
Hmm.
deserve special treatment. So, I mean, that's always
Yeah,
going to be there, and that's going to be something up to the streamer to have to deal with.
sure.
But I think I think I'll use VIPs. I really like it. I know for me personally that I do moderate or I do mod people who are IRL friends of mine and online friends of mine, but are definitely not Twitch watchers.
Hmm.
And there has been incidences where they've accidentally like timed out or banned someone and they didn't even realize they did it. You know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Because they're
totally.
like they're not Twitch people. They just don't watch Twitch or whatever. Or they've gotten upset with me because I'm pinging all the mods in my mod chat or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, I didn't sign up for this." You know what I mean? Like, why are these people
Hmm.
whispering me saying like hateful things to me during your stream? Like, oh, because you're a mod. It's like, well, I don't want to be a mod, so I mod them. But then it's like they kind of lose out on that, or I skip their messages or whatever.
Sure,
So
yeah,
VIP will be a good compromise for them, I think. So I find it overall useful. Um,
totally.
Next up, we have new moderator tools, which Pixel will be excited about. But by clicking on someone's username, mods will now be able to see how long that person has been on Twitch and details on their activity in the channel, like chats, number of timeouts, or bans. The update also
I like.
includes a new comment tool that lets mods work together by leaving notes for each other. These new tools arrive in January. So Kind of a little bit of a side note with this announcement. They actually talked to C. Benny, who's the guy who does the mod chat application as well as the log viewer application that we all know, and
Hmm.
he's known about this for about 4 to 5 months actually.
Oh wow.
And just to briefly kind of talk about it, on C. Benny's log viewer, you can basically do the same thing. You can look up chat histories. You can look up how many times they've been timed out or banned, and you can leave a comment below about why they were banned and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Just kind of briefly, he did make a twit longer about this, and I just want to kind of like read it very quickly. He said, first of all, I was made aware of this several months ago and gave lots of feedback as to how they could implement such a thing. I'm thrilled to see they took most of my feedback to heart, and I can't wait to see what they will release in January. So what will happen to Log Viewer? I can't say, but obviously that takes away a lot of the need for a third-party solution. However, there's a lot of features I never implemented that I might finally get around to. So these are the features he wants to get around to, which we probably can touch on in another podcast episode as well. But moderator activity stats and analysts and analytics is something he wants to do. He says, for example, how long a moderator is actually in the stream, how often they're typing in the stream, and how active they are with their moderation, which I thought was interesting.
Hmm.
He wants
Interesting.
full chat logs, including full text search, and then he wants public logs accessible to non-moderators. So he is actually
Oh,
holding off on log version 4 for now, and he's also holding off on the mod chat client for now to work on some of these features.
interesting.
So that was just a little bit from him on the whole situation or whatever, which I think is pretty good. I do hope, for me personally, since I do use mod chat and I feel like it's the only way I could moderate nowadays, I do hope that he implements some of these things in here, because if not, I'm going to still be continuing to use log viewer, right?
Hmm.
If he doesn't implement much of this stuff. So Pixel, what do you think about these moderator changes? Because I know you don't use mod
You
chat.
know,
So
I don't. So when I saw this, I was like, thank you, Twitch. This is probably the one feature that I have been waiting for,
hmm
and I cannot wait to actually use this. This is going to be so useful,
hmm
especially like just like keeping track of what kind of timeouts they got, like what the reason for it, adding mod comments. Like
Yeah,
this is something that I wish was built into Twitch a long time ago.
right.
And there have been so many instances where I needed to look up what a person did
hmm
and to double check like what they did in the past. And yeah, and mod chat and all those other things, I believe it's a paid service. So I think it was a little bit hard to stomach and to try to get that implemented.
hmm
So this being built in is fantastic.
hmm Um, Yeah, the only issue I have right now is like we don't really know how. Like we're just taking this for what the article says and what the blog post says, but there's no like third party website, or sorry, not third party website, but it looks like basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna be, if you're a moderator, you click on someone's name and this little card comes up within the chat window itself. I hope that Twitch makes it a way so I can open these chat cards up in another window or something. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
like if it's this little card on Twitch chat, like blocking Twitch chat from me moderating already, it's gonna be pretty annoying if I can only see like maybe the
Mm,
last 5 messages. I can't see all their messages.
yeah.
I can't really see their timeouts or bans or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. That's gonna be kind
Yes.
of annoying to have to fiddle with and use this tool within such a small frame of the Twitch chat window.
Mm,
So that's my only concern with it, and that's the reason why I enjoy stuff like Log Viewer or third-party ones, just because you can have it over on another window or whatever and not really have to worry about that or whatever. But it looks like they're
sure.
consolidating or condensing it all within Twitch chat, which I get, but um,
Right. If
yeah,
if that window can float and move over to the like video area, that'd be great.
yeah,
That I could handle that.
yeah, or something like that. So yeah, guys, get ready and get used to also adding mod comments to people. Also, get ready to ask why certain people have been timed out so much as well, I guess.
Hmm.
Because you're probably going to see somebody and time them out, and it's going to say they've been timed out like 300 times because they're just being trolled or something by moderators.
Right.
So that'll be interesting as well to see what
Yeah.
happens with that.
Oh yeah, totally.
Um, Next up is kind of just something really small, but roles and management page. Streamers will be able to see and change their community members' role from editors to mods to VIP from the new roles selection on their dashboard. This is coming alongside VIP badges in a few weeks. Pretty much looks reminiscent of what Discord looks like if you have your own Discord server, basically, of what roles you can put people in. So just a very easy way to manage the roles and give or deny access to certain people or whatever instead of... yeah, right. I mean, right now, the way I unmoderate people is I go to my own chat, I say /mods, I hit enter, I see who's there, I go, who the heck is this person? And I copy paste their name and then go /unmods, paste, and then boom, they're unmodded. So, yeah, pretty good feature. Like that feature.
Pretty straightforward.
So now we get into, I think, a big feature, and this is something we called this on this podcast. I just want to let you know, Twitch listens. Someone at Twitch, you're subbed. I know you're subscribed. We called this. I feel like we called this like 2 months ago.
Yes.
Subscription. Okay, sorry. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, it's something that we've been like wanting for so long.
Yeah. So, subscription badges now show the total number of months. Easy clap, boys. We did it. It's thanks to this podcast because of your patronage. We did it. They said, we heard your feedback loud and clear. DeepThoughts podcast. That's not in there. I just added that part. But we heard your feedback loud and clear that subscription badges need to reward consistent supporters even if they miss a sub 1 month. Sub badges will now change to show the total number of months a viewer has been subscribed. If a viewer is on an amazing streak, they can still choose to share it when they resubscribe. This update is coming in January. So a couple of interesting things I heard about this and was talking to people who are on the show for. They are going to add in so one of the big things is they're going to add in the future, I guess, more notifications within chat, where if you're consistently supporting now, you'll get noticed a bit more, or maybe fireworks will go off. I don't really understand what it is, but for example, now, if you are consistently subbed for 36 months in a row, you'll get like an extra chat message or something. Some type of recognition will be shown into chat. It might just be something as simple, because basically the consistent thing is going like the in a row or consecutive thing is essentially going to be going away now. It's gone. It's totally gone. When you resub, it's going to say, for example, hooray, let day 9 know that you've been subbed for a total of 3 months. And then you'll have the option to show my 2-month streak in the chat message if you want. So streaks are kind of going to be this niche thing. One of the things that I also thought was interesting is if you click the subscribe button, it will show you how many months it will be of support to get to the next badge or whatever, sub badge. So for example, it will say you have 2 more months until you get the 6-month sub badge, or something like that. As well as you don't lose those sub badges once you unlocked them. So for example, if you got the 2-year sub badge and then for some reason you're gone for 6 months and you come back and resub, it will say, welcome back. You've been subbed for a total of 25 months. You have a streak of 1 month and you will get back your 2-year badge. So that's pretty useful for someone like, I don't know, for me example, where I have unsubbed from certain communities. If I did ever come back or whatever, or show support to those communities again, I'll have that sub badge back.
Yeah, that's great. Like, I would love that. If it's like retroactive, that's even better.
So apparently that's what they showed on the thing or whatever. So easy clap.
Nice.
Yeah.
Easy clap. Love it.
Next up, we have really quick. We have something called Snap Camera. Apparently, it's an extension that adds filters to your camera. Nothing much to really say about it. Don't care about it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a very niche thing. I think we can probably just move on from this.
Yeah. Thrive we have coming up next, which is pretty much just a thing with the bounty boards. The bounty boards are coming out of alpha or beta, and they're going to be open to all partners and select affiliates starting in 2019, to US and Canada only. UK will come later in 2019, so keep mentioning that. And lastly, they announced this thing called Twitch Sings, which is basically a game that they've combined with Harmonix, the rock band developer.
Oh,
and it's
harmonics.
harmonics. Okay, that's what I thought. And they are doing a karaoke type of game. Apparently, you can go to link.twitch.tv/sings and sign up for a beta. But it's basically just karaoke integrated into Twitch, which I don't know, looks pretty cool. I don't really have much to say about that either. I'm not going to be using it or utilizing it, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Pixel.
I think it's going to be interesting. Like, I remember at one point that karaoke was against the TOS. So seeing this come back is kind of
that is true.
Odd.
Right.
And I'm thankful it's coming back, but I think they probably put that in the TOS for a reason, which is Twitch Sings. They wanted to make it sort of like legal, I guess, because they need to get the rights to do something like that.
Right. No, that makes sense.
So I enjoy seeing karaoke streams. It's fun, you know, especially if you get the community involved. Like, it's a great like little building activity, like a community building activity. From what I heard, though, this selection of songs is very, very small.
They probably need to get licensing.
Yes, because they have to do this legally. They have to, like, I guess, only get a certain amount of songs, and probably there's going to be more along the way. But the thing is, yes, it may be very, very sparse to begin with. I like the integrations they have with like bits and cheering and stuff like that, where, you know, it can create like effects during the Twitch Sing stream. Like, that's cool integration and stuff. I like it. I'm just really hopeful that they add more songs to this.
Yeah, it's also like one of those things where, like, I assumed it was going to be one of those things where like you and a viewer can sing together, but it doesn't seem like it's like that at all. It just seems like the broadcaster will be singing on like a stage, and then they will also be able to see the emotes that are being thrown in chat while that person's singing, as well as bits, right? Like, I don't think I've heard anything with like how it's going to be like co-streaming with like you and a viewer singing. Like, it looks very one-sided. They had a demo booth streaming it the whole time at TwitchCon, and the whole time, like, it was just weird. Like, I never saw that feature happen. But I mean, obviously it was a random Twitch chat, so maybe they just didn't want random trolls on, but I never saw that type of thing. I mean, so I don't know.
I've seen this announcement that you can perform duets with your community.
Okay.
So your community can sing with you. I don't know if they can take control and sing on their own.
That sounds like the first one, because if they would, it wouldn't say like you like sing with your community is very different from if they stated you can sing with your viewers, right? Because singing with your community just sounds like it's just one person, like all of Twitch chat is your community. You know what I mean? Whereas singing with your viewers would be like specifically you can sing with Pixel. You know what I mean? Or you can sing with whoever, right? So
we'll have to wait and see. I think it's in beta right now. You can actually sign up for it and test it out.
So go sign up and test it out, guys. I'm not, but if you guys want to get your sing on, go for it. Next up, that's pretty much all we had about TwitchCon, by the way. That's a 2018 recap. Just wanted to say that go check out the show notes below and wherever you may find them, which is most likely below this video / audio recording, to go check out the details and stuff there. But I mean, that's pretty much it for the TwitchCon keynotes. We have a couple more things to go over very quickly, though. Pixel and I are going to be going to BlizzCon 2018 this Friday and Saturday, so keep that in mind. But I thought it would be interesting because we will be, next episode we do, it will be post BlizzCon. So I wanted to just kind of briefly talk about the predictions for BlizzCon, I guess we could say, what we think will be there. And before we get into it as well, just keep in mind, if you do find me, not Pixel, because I can't promise him, but I can't promise that he'll do it. But if you do find me at BlizzCon, I will buy you a beer. If you can prove you know who I am. So I'm not going to say anything. Like, if you come up to me and you're like, hey, Kubo, what's up? I'm like, hey, man, what's up? Like, nothing much, man. Cool, man. And you don't mention that you found me from the podcast at all, I'm not buying you a beer. I'm just saying that you have to specifically state you're from the podcast. Also, I know you people are listening. If I know you IRL, or we have talked off stream before in multiple conversations, I'm not buying you guys a beer because I know who's going to do that. So I'm just
like me. Yeah, I was going to call to you. Hey, I found you from the DeepThoughts podcast.
Pixel just comes up to me. He's like, hey, man, I found you from the podcast. Can you buy me a beer? No, I'm not buying Pixel a beer. So I guess I'll briefly go first. What my BlizzCon predictions are. I wanted to be a negative Nancy and be like, nothing's gonna come out. Blizzard sucks, like, right?
Uh-huh.
But I'm not gonna do that. I actually thought about this for a while, and I have a couple of things that I think are gonna come out. So this is kind of what I hope Blizzard's gonna come out with, and not realistically what Blizzard is coming out with. Just an FYI. So one, I think we reported this, or I reported this on another podcast I do, but we did talk briefly how Diablo 3 came out with a blog post that basically said, "Hey, we know what you think that's gonna be announced at BlizzCon for Diablo, but it ain't that. So we're sorry, but just chill." Like, that's pretty much what the blog post said. I don't know if you saw this, Pixel.
Yes, I did see that.
Okay, so my theory is that BlizzCon / Blizzard Entertainment has 3,000 IQ and is just debating us. I think they made that post to just kind of make everyone stop talking about it and get really disappointed. And then at BlizzCon, they're going to either announce Diablo 4 or they're going to announce Diablo 2 Remastered.
I think Diablo 2 Remaster is probably a good bet.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Knowing Blizzard, they are very secretive about their projects. Like Overwatch, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
No one expected they would create Overwatch. And they are just very, very, very good at holding back what they're going to announce.
Yeah.
So all this hype that's coming into BlizzCon, I think they're going to throw a curve. I really think they're going to throw some sort of curveball at us.
Yeah, I think this blog post kind of touches on that. You know what I mean? That they're trying to throw the scent off, you know?
Yeah. There's something to be said for announcing something like this. And take a page out of like Apple's playbook, for instance. They keep things very, very secret, and at the time of a convention or like some sort of conference, they announce something like out of the blue, and it's here, it's available, like within 3 days you can get it. You lose a lot of that momentum if you announce like something and it doesn't live up to the expectations. So I think that what they're going to do is, my mind is kind of like all over the place right now, but I feel like they're going to announce something out of like left field at this convention. Plus, you're going to be able to play it at the convention itself.
Okay. Yeah.
So to build that hype. So they're kind of redirecting our attention by saying all these things.
Right.
And people are, probably going to be let down like right now, but when they get there, bam, that hype is back.
Yeah.
That hype is like red hot.
Yeah.
And suddenly everybody is excited again.
Yeah. Because
if they started giving actual hints leading up to the convention, it kind of kills that hype. But when you're there, it's like in your face. Everybody's excited. Everybody's like forgets about all the bad things that's ever happened to them. And it's going to be like amazing. That's how you build a hype train.
Yeah. Yeah, I will also say don't trust the BlizzCon map as well, because when they announced Overwatch or whatever, the places where the Overwatch stations were at, that was all World of Warcraft demo stations. And then once Overwatch got announced, people actually caught live footage. Once it was like literally like a second after they announced it, everything immediately changed. All the wallpapers changed. The floating, like the big booth panels, everything were digital. They changed to Overwatch almost immediately. So on the map, it showed that it was World of Warcraft. So,
and that's what Blizzard is really good at.
Yeah.
They are good at redirecting people's attention and hiding things until the very last moment.
Yeah.
Because when the people in charge at Blizzard and the people that work at Blizzard, they take care of these IPs very, very seriously. And it means a lot to them to keep this secret and to not surprise or not spoil the surprise, because like you miss out on that joy of just experiencing something like this for the first time. And yeah, it's like you can't get that anywhere else. You only get that announcement one time, and it has to be amazing.
Yeah. So I definitely think like Diablo 4 or Diablo 2 Remastered are going to be announced. The second thing that I think is pretty not likely is going to be announced, but apparently Blizzard's been hiring a bunch of people to work on the Overwatch team and like art people and stuff like that. And so the theory is that they're finally going to come out with a single player. I doubt it, but that's kind of also one of the other things that I think will come out, or I hope will come out, is like a single player mode for Overwatch, which has been asked for years, and it is the 2-year anniversary of when Overwatch was announced. So I feel like they will kind of announce something for Overwatch that's pretty big. And then my last thing, which is like my boldest prediction, I don't think this is going to happen at all. At the same time, I would not be surprised if this happened. But that is, I think that Blizzard is going to try and enter the mobile gaming space like Nintendo did. And they're going to come out with maybe 3 to 4 mobile games over the next like 2 to 3 years using Blizzard IPs. So independent games like an Overwatch game or whatever, or a Diablo game or a Hearthstone game or something like that, especially since they've been ramping up cinematics, especially since they could probably do it and make a pretty good chunk of money, but come out with like original games in the Blizzard universe using their IP, or at least porting some of their older games onto phone or tablet. I would not be surprised if they did that at all, but I don't think that's going to happen at the same time.
It's very possible. I mean, they've gone into the mobile space with Hearthstone, so it's very possible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else that you want to add as well to your predictions of BlizzCon. Besides, like, obviously, like, the obvious stuff, we're trying to avoid that. Like, we obviously know new Hearthstone expansion, new Overwatch hero. Like, that's very obvious, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I just really, really want some Diablo news. I think that's ready for something.
Yeah, same, man.
You know, so you know what? I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping for a Diablo announcement. Anything would be cool. I don't care if it's a remaster of Diablo 2 because Diablo 2 was fantastic. So
we'll definitely squad stream Diablo 2 when it comes out, you know?
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
Just kind of lastly, what we don't have to predict, Pixel. Who's gonna be playing music at BlizzCon? And we have some pretty interesting people playing at BlizzCon. We have 3 acts that are going to be playing at BlizzCon this year instead of the usual one. If it's your first time going to BlizzCon, guys, basically there is a stage called the Mythic stage. That's where the opening ceremony is, and it's the biggest stage there. It's where they announce all the what's new in this and what's new in that, and all the big panels. But usually at the Saturday, the last day, around 7 to 8 p.m., they have a closing ceremony there, and then they have a band come out. In past, we've had artists like Muse, Foo Fighters, Weird Al Yankovic, I think was there, Blink-182. This year they're doing something different, which I thought was pretty interesting. But they're going to be doing live, or 3 bands, but they're each going to be on different stages. I don't know if the article I linked in the show notes actually talks about that, but the artists are going to be on different stages, and you basically have to pick and choose which artist you want to go listen to. So yeah, but sorry, I was gonna say so basically what those artists are is on the main stage, or the biggest stage, is gonna be the band Train, which Drops of Jupiter, Hey Soul Sister. Those are like really the only songs I know from them, to be honest. Over on the Overwatch arena, so that's like kind of the place where the Overwatch World Cup happens and all that. It will be Christian Nyren. I don't know if I'm Naren. Okay, and I guess he plays what's the character's name, Pixel?
Hodor.
That guy is gonna be DJing. Apparently he's a DJ and he has his own set called Rave of Thrones. So
he was out of previous BlizzCon. He's actually pretty good.
Okay, I did not know that at all. I've never heard his music. So he will be over at the Overwatch Arena stage. And then over at the Heroes of the Storm stage, there will be Lindsay Sterling, who is like from American Idol or something, right?
Yeah. Well, no, she wasn't. She was America's Got Talent, I believe.
Okay. America's Got Talent, some type of reality show. I've been to one of her concerts a very long time ago, for a friend's birthday, actually. I didn't even pay for the tickets. Like, it's like a package deal that they did for their birthday. So, I mean, her music's cool.
Yeah, she's fun.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, here's the thing. I probably won't go to see them, and not because I don't care for the art. Like, these artists are okay. I'm not, like, thrilled. I'm not hyped about them, but I'm not like, ew, gross. To be honest, for me personally, BlizzCon is just not really the place to have a concert. I mean,
it really isn't.
Realistically, what ends up happening is, like, even if you go to, let's say, Lindsey Sterling or one of these smaller people and you get some pretty good seats, you're pretty still far away. And a lot of the time, it's just you kind of like awkwardly sitting there, like kind of nodding your head or whatever. And if you get there late, you're basically just staring at a projector anyway. The last
Yeah.
couple of times I've been in friends' hotel rooms or just been at a bar kind of nearby the convention center where they're rebroadcasting the concert anyway. So that's been fun to watch, and it's like just a better viewing thing. So I don't think I'm going to
Sure.
the closing ceremony. I don't know about you, Pixel.
I would like to, just because, it's just, something I'd like to do.
Okay.
But, for the band Train, I'm not sure how popular they are. I just don't know if it actually fits with the BlizzCon or Blizzard audience. I remember one year, Foo Fighters were there, and, they're a pretty, good rock band.
Yeah.
And I just look around at the crowd and barely anybody's standing or cheering or bobbing their heads. Everybody's kind of just sitting stone faced, staring at the stage.
Right.
And it was so awkward.
Yeah.
It was so awkward.
I mean, that's pretty much why I avoid the concert, to be honest. It just doesn't really have like that concert vibe to it.
Yeah.
So.
It's like, I mean, yeah, it depends on the band, really. But like, it was just kind of odd. And I think it's going to happen again this year. I don't want to say it because, who wants to feel that way?
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I don't think I'm going to be going to any of these I will probably, unfortunately, what happens is when the closing ceremony starts, all the demos close, everything closes. So it's either you go to the closing ceremony or you leave. So that's also, guys, why I mentioned I'm probably just going to leave, because you have to. You unfortunately don't have a choice if you want to listen to them. Out of the three, though, Pixel, I mean, is there one that you specifically want to go to, or are you just going to go to the main stage to listen to Train because it's the main stage?
I don't know. I've seen Lindsey Sterling and Christian Aaron perform before.
Okay.
So, but I'm not really much of a Train fan, so I might just go to one or the other of Lindsey or Christian.
Okay. And Pixel and I are going to be hanging out on Friday or Saturday. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll tag along. We'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, anyway, guys, that pretty much wraps up all the news. Got through this pretty quickly, I think, as quickly as we could or whatever. Yeah, but like I said, guys, we'll be back next Tuesday with another episode, just talking about all the BlizzCon news and stuff like that. Once again, you see me at TwitchCon, and I don't know you IRL, then please, tell me that you found me from the podcast, because I just would find that hilarious as well. But at the same time, you guys might want to know what we're up to this week and may want to keep up with us and stuff. So the best way to do that is through social media. So for myself, you can follow me at twitch.tv/RyanKubo, and that's the same for Twitter and Instagram. I'll be trying to update those pretty regularly. If any of the listeners are going to BlizzCon or whatever, I'll be kind of not telling you exactly where my location is, but you'll generally know when I've done something, and I'm going to try to post almost immediately when it happens, as long as cell service allows me or I remember. If not, those will be photo dumps for people who can't make it out to check out BlizzCon and the venue and stuff like that. Pixel, where can they find you, though?
Well, you can find me on my Twitter, which is pixelpusher101, which is different from my Twitch, which is pixel_pusher101.
Nice. So maybe Pixel will update that as well, and you guys will
One
be
of
able
these days
will be able to stalk him. But yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for checking out this episode, listening to this episode, watching this episode of the Deep Thoughts podcast. We hope you have a great rest of your week, as I know Pixel and I will, because we'll be at BlizzCon. And yeah, until next week, guys, where we come back with our BlizzCon information and how that went, we'll catch you fairly soon. Take it easy, guys.
All right. See you guys.
Later.